Hey folks, today I'm beginning in earnest the process of fault finding and cleaning of this Illinois Bunn Special pocket watch. So in particular, what I'm going to be doing today is a process known as pre-cleaning, which is going to allow me to get in much more depth fault finding with the watch. So I'm going to remove major points of dirt or congealed oil, and I'm going to examine all the parts under high magnification to look for more faults. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go through the plates and I'm going to peg out the jewel holes. So, there's oil in a watch. Oil becomes congealed and soiled over time, and in particular, it may adhere to the surfaces of jewels, and this may not be removed by your cleaning machine. Oil especially tends to collect on the inside of jewels, right? Because that's where your pivots are running, and there's a square shoulder on the pivot that's sitting up against the jewel, and oil is held between the jewel and the pivot just by its surface tension. So as oil goes bad, you'll tend to notice a little ring around the jewel hole on the flat surface of the jewel where it would bear against the shoulder of the pivot. And I'm going to do a close inspection of all my jewels and make sure there's no cracks. The center jewel looks okay. Third wheel, okay. Fourth wheel, okay. I want to do a closer inspection of the condition of the barrel, in particular end shakes and side shakes of the arbor in the barrel itself, and also the arbor between the plates. So what I'm going to do first here is I'm going to give the barrel a bit of a cleaning. This is one of the grossest parts of an old watch, one of the dirtiest parts, uh, and one of the parts that will soil your cleaning fluid in the cleaning machine a lot, and that fluid is expensive. So what I'm going to do, besides pegging out the holes of the barrel, I'm going to use a little bit of lighter fluid and a little paintbrush, and I'm going to try to get this crap off the barrel so that it doesn't pollute my cleaning fluid when I put the watch through the cleaning machine. I've done a little survey of watchmakers who I respect. What's your pre-cleaning practice? And there's no real hard and fast rule here. It's not that every part has to be hand cleaned in lighter fluid. What I've heard from a lot of people is that the parts that are most soiled should probably be pre-cleaned to save your cleaning fluid. But it really depends on whether the soiled nature of the parts is impairing you from detecting faults. So your pre-cleaning may involve simply for a movement that's not that dirty, may involve pegwood, rodico, pithwood. It may also involve hand cleaning in a little jar of lighter fluid, depending on how dirty the parts are and how hard it is to detect faults. So barrel has pretty extensive wear. It appears at the bushing, but also on the surfaces of the barrel. You can see here's the bottom of the barrel. You can see the plating in the barrel has been completely worn away, and this is likely the consequence of someone using maybe the incorrect mainspring, but maybe also a mainspring that is warped in some way. A mainspring, if it through repeated taking out and putting in, can get sort of coned, can become warped up and down, and then when you put it back in the barrel, what it can do is scrape the barrel and scrape your plating away. So this is not going to have an impact on the watch's performance, but it's just a mark of someone not really caring very much when they replaced the mainspring in the past. Maybe they just used the old spring, they hand wound it in. That's in particular what may cause this kind of distortion in the mainspring. So just something to take note of. And obviously this dirties your bench. The whole process of pre-cleaning dirties your bench terribly. So when you actually go to assemble the watch, you've got to completely clean your bench because it's going to be a mess after this. Close it up. So again, here I'm just checking the end shake, the arbor in the barrel. Totally okay. End shake, fine. Yeah, barely any at all. So I'm satisfied that the end and side shakes in the barrel itself are okay. End shake, very nice. Side shake. Totally fine. That's good. Good. Okay, so now I'm moving on to the gear train. I've kind of taken care of the plates here. So the gear train is susceptible to a lot of faults, and its analysis and repair makes it very clear why the process of watch repair and restoration can be very time consuming. So the first thing I'm going to do with the gear train is using a fairly high powered loop. I'm going to go through, and what I'm going to do is peg out pinion leaves. So in watches are constantly gearing up, right? So the large wheel drives a small pinion, and then the subsequent wheel turns faster than the previous wheel, right? So in these pinions, often hardened dirt and oil tend to get deposited in these pinions, and there may also be significant wear there. But most importantly, for how the watch is going to run is getting rid of any crud between pinion leaves that may subsequently prevent the flow of power, the easy flow of power down the gear train. Okay, so it looks like unfortunately I've lost my last bit of footage here, but what I did after pegging out pinion leaves is I put all these wheels under a microscope and to check the condition of the wheels and identify any further repairs that may be required. So in particular, I'm looking for the condition of the teeth all the way around the wheel. Are they all straight? Are any bent or any distorted? I'm looking for the condition of the pinion leaves, identifying any corrosion, pitting, dirt, any distortion of the pinion leaves, and I think most importantly, I'm looking at the condition of the pivots on each wheel. So wear in pivots can cause friction that, especially in parts of the train where torque is very low, can impair the running of the watch. And very worn pivots may need to be refreshed, burnished using a jacket tool, which is a video I'll do another time. So what I'm doing now is drilling down on this fourth wheel and trying to identify the exact reason why the wheel was wobbling when I spun the gear train earlier. So as much as I thought it was a bent fourth wheel pivot, the more I look at this thing and the more carefully I look at it, I don't actually think it's bent. So I've got the wheel arbor just set in a cheap pin vise here, and I've got a block of soft wood, which has got a little groove there. And when I'm just spinning the wheel, looking straight down on it, and I've looked at the pivot for quite a long time, I really do not think the pivot is bent, but the wheel has a definite wobble to it. So if I turn it with my fingers, looking straight down, I can see the wheel wobbling back and forth. And so I think the wheel is actually bent. I'm just using really light finger pressure to try to counter the warping in the wheel. Okay, and the winding pinion. And before moving on to the escapement and balance, I'm just taking a quick look at the crown wheel and ratchet wheel. Okay, so finally we get to the escapement and oscillator, which is where where a lot, maybe most problems in a watch arise. So I've got the pallet fork, I've got the whole balance assembly on the cock, and I've got the pallet bridge. So the pallet bridge is comparatively easy. I'll just peg out this the jewel hole and inspect it for damage under the microscope. Now let's move on to the pallet fork. So this is again a part of the watch where there can be congealed oil that will subsequently degrade running. So old grease can be built up on the faces of the pallet fork. Also, the pallet jewels can crack, or the shellac that's holding them into the metal pallet fork can become degraded. There we go. That's the stud screw loosened. There we go. I'm just going to look at the hole jewel under magnification. Oh, we got a problem here. We have a smashed hole jewel. Shoot. So now I'm just looking at the balance from the side. I push the pivots into pithwood, looking for the straightness of the pivots, as well as the condition of the hairspring. There we go. Oh yeah, this hairspring looks really nice, really flat, just about perfect. Here's a closer view. I think you can just see it there. If you look at the hub of the staff, it's sitting more to one side than the other. You can also see that the lower part of this double roller, this two-part double roller, is not on the staff properly. Now we're going to put the balance on the stump. So the balance arms go in the hole, or the big slot in the stump, and the roller rests on the solid part of the stump. Then what we're going to do is come in and remove the roller. Okay, so this pivot punch is not going to work. You don't want to come in with a hammer with these pivot punches because they really have a really fine tip, and it's cross drilled. So if you hit it with a hammer, these things can just break. The whole tip can just break off. I've had this happen. I had a tip split. So I'm going to get a more robust punch because I don't care about this staff. I'll just use maybe a flat-faced hollow punch or a domed punch and come back and try this again. There we go. Hi guys, I'm just shooting a bit of a postscript here. So I removed the two-piece double roller from the staff. So that's the impulse roller, the roller that contains the impulse jewel. This is the safety roller, so this prevents the balance from overbanking, and I'll talk another time about what that is. But in any case, the objective was to get a better look at the staff here. And actually, if I look closely, we can see that it's not that the staff is sitting at a weird angle, it's that we're missing part of the staff hub here, which is really weird. So I don't know how that happened, whether it happened while the balance was in the watch, and it was all part of the same incident in which the whole jewel got broken. But in any case, having an incomplete staff will throw out the poise of the balance, so the watch is going to have to be restaffed. So that's too bad, but I can put that on order and and get a new staff. So we've located two additional problems during our strip down and pre-cleaning: the messed up staff, which has to be replaced, and the shattered hole jewel at the top of the balance. So I know a supplier of new hole jewels, which I'll order one from. You could buy a parts movement, but there's no guarantee you'll get a jewel that's intact, right? That may be broken as well. So that will form a future video, the restaffing. in addition to impulse jewel fitting. So I'm going to have to inspect that impulse jewel. If it's okay, I'm going to refit it into that roller. So I'll do a video on that, and I'll also do a video on the use of the jacket tool, which I'm going to use to refresh some of the train wheel pivots. Okay, so that's it for this strip down and pre-cleaning. Thanks very much for watching.